Hi there, I'm Sensei John Weatherall, and today I'm going to be talking to you about an introduction into the pad work drills using a front hand lead punch or a jab and an advancing shuffle step to help to demonstrate some of the basic concepts. It's worth pointing out at this stage that our juniors don't actually use the impact equipment. The under 16s at that age, their bones are still developing and it's inadvisable for them to have repeated contact against the impact equipment. So the juniors still can perform the same techniques using their partner's hands to target towards. So we can demonstrate this by showing a jab cross hook as a bit of an example. So if we put our right leg back and Matt puts his hands up into this position. So here the partner will turn their pads so that the padding is on the outside of the palm. Even though we do this with control, that allows a little bit of cushioning just in case. So I just come into here and use this one, front hand punch here, back hand to here, and up to here, like so. So if you want to put the focus pads on there, please, Matt. So our juniors can still develop a lot of the same skills that the adults are getting, such as the distancing, coordination, timing, positioning, lines of attack, speed as well, angles of attack we can also look at. We can also develop the fitness through the drills as well. So in addition to that, obviously the adults can develop their power, so they can use the focus pads to help build their power. We build the power upon good technique and good safe technique as well. So the drills that we're going to be looking at, the drill that we're going to be looking at today is a simple drill which looks at a developing basic technique. Now, this is a foundation for a lot of the drills that we do later on, which will be maybe more varied, so we might look at then building upon that with different combinations, different footwork, different ways of moving, so we might make it more randomised. I might be responding to Matt's attacks, I might come in with round attacks or straight attacks. I might have set instructions to do set moves on a certain instruction from Matt, or it may be more randomised. And I might also, or we might also train with incorporating different parts of the syllabus, different types of drills into the pad work drills to try and develop skills in a slightly different way. So there's lots of different things we can do. But this type of drill that we're looking at today is the basic foundation of what we do. At this point, before we carry on, so you can see there Matt's wearing some inner gloves with the focus pads. The reason we do that, everyone does that, the reason we do that is to keep the training equipment clean and fresh and pleasant for the next person to use. Here we're going to be setting up with the right leg back. Both sides will have the same leg back. So we will be here, I'll be training my front hand punch, my left hand jab, okay? So if Matt puts his pads up here, one of the reasons that we do train initially in our basic training with the same leg back is it allows ease of learning basically. And the other thing that it does is there's a safety element to it as well, because if I'm punching my front hand to Matt's front pad and my back hand to Matt's back pad, one of the things that may happen is that the punch may skim, particularly a backhand punch may skim off this way, and I end up punching here. If I was to do that with my this way, with my backhand here, then I'll be skimming in towards my partner's face, which isn't advisable. So that's one of the reasons that we set it that way. So we're also going to be looking at one of the safety aspects for the pad holder, which is where to hold the pad in relation to their body this way, and also where to hold it this way. So there you can see Max holding the pad where his arm has got this angle here. That enables him to absorb some of the impact and also to meet my punch as well. So one of the things that he wants to be doing is, as the pad holder, he wants to be just meeting the punch to allow me something solid to hit against. So to do that requires a little bit of timing, which does come with practice, by the way. One of the best ways that I've heard of this being described, or ways of learning this and way of understanding this, is to think of the high five. So when we come in for a high five, then both sides will be meeting each other with that punch of energy there. So that's the same feeling that the pad holder wants when they're feeding the pads in, because we look at different drills at different parts of the syllabus and different skill levels and so on. Now, the pad holder or the student has to be able to perform both aspects, so they have to be able to perform the punching and also be able to feed the pads in as well. So you need to be able to do both sides. Another thing from the pad holder's perspective is that the position, so you look at the position here where he's holding the pad. If Matt wants to just turn so he's facing the camera there. So if you notice there, the pad is away this way from the body, but also away this way, so that if the straight punch comes in and he doesn't meet it, then it flies back this way rather than going from here and flying back towards his face. So it's an obvious point, but one that we need to make is that we want to be not placing the pad in front of our faces when we're doing these drills. So just turn back this way, please, Matt. The other thing that we need to be looking at is not just the safety of the pad holder, but the safety of the puncher as well. So when I'm punching, so if we again put right at the back, so when I'm punching, what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to punch with my wrist straight and punch with these two knuckles here, the prominent two knuckles, which are called seiken. Now, we're going to be punching between a vertical and a horizontal, so when we do our basic punching, we punch this way. You're going to be making contact with the pad anywhere between this position and this position. So most people it's at an angle about 45 degrees. So we're twisting through like so. Most important thing there is the wrist is aligned with the fist, with the hand. So what we're going to avoid there is if we strike the pad this way with the wrist bent here, this occurs here. If we've got too much angle this way, then we end up bending the wrist back here. So that's important, because that's not just beginners, but more advanced people can fall into that trap. So we need to build, like I said before, build the power upon good, basic, solid technique. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at a shuffle step. So we've incorporated some footwork into this drill. So I'm going to set myself up slightly out of range, and then I'm going to be stepping into range and punching towards the pad, like so. So I'm using my footwork, stepping in, punching, and then getting back to my starting position. There are loads of different ways, like I said, there's lots of different drills that we can do with our pad work drills. This basic technique drill is generally taught and it's generally drilled with our instructor or the pad holder counting us through, and us as the punchers reacting to that count and punching on that count. So we'll just demonstrate 5 slow, 5 medium with Matt counting us through those.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, medium 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, there's another thing about holding the pads. So if I'm punching straight, this pad is going to be relatively straight. Because I'm punching across the body, there's a slight angle there, because my punch is coming from across the body this way. So if we're doing a jab cross, then the pads are going to be slightly turned in, not massively this way, but slightly turned in as opposed to flat this way. So they're relatively flat. If we're doing a hook punch, then we turn it 90 degrees here, and I'm coming into this position here. Another thing to watch out for is the height of your partner. So depending on the height of your training partner, you will have to vary and slightly adjust your pads. So that's something to watch out for when you're doing these drills. Okay, so that was an introduction into the pad work drills using the jab and the advancing step to help demonstrate the basic concepts.